What's going on, everyone? Welcome back into the college football DFS preview for Saturday, week 11. We got the main slate here on DraftKings that will be going through. Pete Cole with me. I'm Dan Servodidio. We are the fantasy alarm team for college football and college basketball just starting up. So go check out fantasyalarm.com there for all our playbooks and stuff on Discord. Pete, how are you doing? Appreciate you making the time with the storm there in Florida, but I'm glad you got power back and are able to be with me here.
Yeah, we just got hit with a November hurricane, which is weird.
Of course.
Yeah, tough day yesterday, so we're recording today, but we're back on. Everything's good. Uh, we got I think 3 weeks left of college football, pretty much, right before championship weekend.
Yeah, yeah,
3 weeks, I think, right? 2 or 3.
yeah. Really
So
interesting time for college football because yeah, the last 3 weeks it's always like you got some teams that maybe aren't trying as hard now, and the teams that
injuries,
are trying to make the playoffs. So yeah.
guys vomiting on a sideline, deciding whether you're going to play him or not. So it was very stressful last week, the last hour or two before lock. But hopefully this week's a little bit better.
Yeah, hopefully with these power conference programs, we don't have a situation like Central Michigan's, quarterback situation from the other night. But we'll try to get through it. With that being said, with the quarterbacks, let's get into it. And by the way, we are going through, as you can see on with DraftKings main slate for Saturday. But if you're playing on FanDuel, you can try to use those same pricing. Not all the games or obviously, as you guys know, are on FanDuel for the early slate, the main slate. But we'll be having the night slate playbook and write ups for you guys anyway. So make sure you guys check that out as you're making lineups. But we'll be focusing on the DraftKings pricing and stuff, but also talking FanDuel top plays too. But let's start with the all the quarterbacks at the top end this week. I think C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young are always in play. I think maybe a little too expensive on the DraftKings side of things. I think I'm picking between, Tanner Mordecai went off last week, 9 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown, and
Yep.
I think like it's between him. Jaden Daniels is a great play this week. Dylan Gabriel on that top end. Not a lot of great top end quarterbacks on the slate for me, but I'm looking at. I think a lot of people will go to Mordecai. He's facing a terrible South Florida defense and we'll probably light them up too. And a great price point on DraftKings, 8,100. But Jaden Daniels coming off that big win over Alabama and has been on a roll, putting up some big stat lines in recent weeks. And Arkansas's pass defense has not been great, so I think there's upside there and a great price point, 8.5 on DraftKings. Where are you looking at the top end quarterbacks? Are Stroud and Bryce Young in the mix at all for you?
Stroud to me is always a GBP,
Yeah,
especially because he doesn't run. But of course, you can always nuke a slate for you, win a slate for you, definitely. So always, always play GBPs. Um, Young always in play, but they're expensive, and I want to get some of these other guys in. Mordecai, I think it's going to be the chalk for
yeah,
every good reason. 8,100, up and down year definitely. Uh, but against USF, I know USF pretty well, and I mean he should smoke. I mean they're giving up 288 yards a game in the air, 214 yards on the ground. I mean South Florida, so but Mordecai's one of those guys that could leave you scratching your head. But he's had a decent season. I mean it was a great game. I think it was last week. He's got 68 fantasy points his last 2 games. The last week was that big game, right? Yeah, the huge game last week.
we had 3 the week before against Cincinnati.
He's on a roll, and I would assume it's going to continue against USF. May end up being a blowout, but he's going to be the popular play. I may end up with him probably as my main quarterback, but I haven't tried. Can you go to pay ups? Because I do like Jaden Daniels. I
Yeah,
think no blowout there. Great matchup, Arkansas. Once he got by his first couple games, like against was it Auburn and Alabama. Now all of a sudden he's rolling now. Last 3 games, 7 touchdowns, 7 passing, 7 rushing touchdowns, no turnovers. So to me, Daniels and Mordecai are the two big dogs up top.
yeah,
And one guy I think everybody is gonna breeze right by and nobody's really talking about is Hendon Hooker. And kind of the last week was a tough game in Georgia, but they need to win. They need to win big. Uh, I know we're talking about Jabari Smalls banged up again, like always, the running back. So I think Hooker may be my top GPP play, but he's going to go right under the radar this week. Like, seems like he does every week.
Yeah.
They're my top guys.
Yeah,
High price
people will
guys.
definitely be off of him and the Vols offense in general. When we get to receivers, it's like Jalen Hyatt's just sitting there too, but I think people will probably avoid him. But yeah, Hooker in that same bag of just being a great GPP play, a low roster for sure. Yeah, I like
He's one
that.
of those guys Saturday afternoon. You can be like, why did I not play Hooker?
Yeah,
That's one of those. That could be one of those type games.
yeah, you could easily go for 40 DFS points. Um,
Definitely.
yeah, I like that call. The Dylan Gabriel's also in play for me going against West Virginia. Gabriel just like since he's come back from injury, he's quietly had some good games and been getting it done. Oklahoma's just really not back in like the national realm of relevance, so it's like people may not be paying attention, but he's had some. He's been taking advantage of some bad defenses Oklahoma's offense has for the most part, except that game against Texas.
Right.
West Virginia's defense is pretty bad. They're against the run, against the pass, so I think there's a path for Gabriel just to be a decent play there. And people probably, everyone playing Mordecai. I think Gabriel will probably be a nice lower roster guy, even in cash.
Nice pivot.
Yeah. Outside of all those guys, I'm honestly skipping through a lot of the mid range quarterbacks until we get to like the 5K range. But are there any guys in here? Because we get someone like KJ Jefferson who may not play, but he's an option if you want to go there. If he does start, maybe a little risky because he's banged up. But a lot of these guys, I'm just really not looking at in that mid range. Any for you before we get to like the 5K guys?
Well, one QB I play a lot, and I played him last week, and wasn't a dud, but is Michael Pratt for Twain. I think Michael Pratt's a really good cash play. Seems to be every week.
Yeah.
Even last week was kind of a down week, and he still I think gave us like 15 DK points. I played in my main cash game, so I was probably wrong, but he's. Yeah, I think it's 15 fantasy points. I think he's going to throw more against UCF, more than did last week. It's a big AAC game. I love that offense. I love Spears, so I don't think Michael Pratt will hurt you. It's probably more of a cashy play and GPP play. I like him in that middle range. Yeah, maybe a little Hunter Deckers because he can run a little bit.
Yeah.
But we got to get that big game out of him. Oklahoma State is definitely vulnerable, and anytime you got a wide receiver like he has to throw to, I think you're in good shape. So I think we played him 2 weeks ago, and he actually came through for us.
Yeah.
So Deckers is kind of on my radar too. I have no problem when you got WR, when you got Alpha to throw to like he does, he's in play. So Deckers and probably Michael Pratt in like that middle range.
Yeah, I like both those calls. Deckers for sure is in play. We have been targeting against the Oklahoma State pass defense and overall defense like all year. They're still bad. So one of the worst in the country, honestly, and statistically for that matter. But Iowa State passes a lot. You're gonna get the passing volume from Deckers. He doesn't always put up the yardage and the touchdowns that you'd like, I guess, but I think the floor is a little better than you'd think.
It is
in this matchup. And you mentioned like that's a cheap quarterback to stack with Hutchinson that we'll get to when we get to receivers, but it's like he's not a bad price here, 5,700. But yeah, like I do like Pratt as well. He's always a solid play, and like you said, that he's going to be throwing more in this game. Honestly, one of the best games of the day, Tulane against UCF, surprisingly.
Good game stack.
Yeah, good game stack. I wanted to shout out Malik Hornsby is an option if he starts for Arkansas. He's a dual threat guy. He came in relief of Jefferson early this year and ran for a bunch of yards, put up 25 DraftKings points.
Run. You think you said?
Yeah, if he's running, we love those dual threat guys. So it's like if he's running, I think and people won't play him honestly. So And that's an early game. That's a noon kickoff. So we'll know early if Jefferson's playing or not. So that's good. Um, the other cheap guy, 5K, in that SMU UCF game, Marsh. Cartavius Marsh, Cartravis Marsh.
Yep, great. I think great GBB play.
Yeah, he's been starting the last 2 games and just been decent enough. And for 5K, you don't need much, but he's put up 17 and 18 DraftKings points the last 2 games. Doing enough. Whether it's a little bit of rushing, but throwing it. I think he's going to throw a ton in this SMU matchup, and SMU's past defense just gave up a ton of points to Houston. So I don't know how good they are on this back-to-back game here. But yeah, that's any other quarterbacks you're looking at?
Only one that just popped up as I'm looking through is maybe a little bit of Riley Leonard, because Virginia Tech does struggle against some dual threats, and Riley Leonard is rolling right now. He's a 7-9, he's a little up there. Last 3 games, 26 DK points, 34, 35. So 2 out of 3 games over almost 35 DK fantasy points. I think he's a good quarterback. So I'll have him in some GPPs. And yeah, that's 341 carries, 287 yards, and 5 TDs in this 3-game stretch. So a little bit of Riley Leonard.
Yeah, he's doing great.
He is.
The I forget his name, but the Duke running back has been banged up. So Waters, is it? I don't know if he or is he the backup that's been in? I honestly don't follow Duke too much. I can just
Jordan Waters is their RB1.
Okay. But yeah. Oh wait, Coleman for Duke has been banged up, and I think that's led to Waters is the guy now, but I think it's led to some more rushing for Leonard in recent games. So yeah, I do like that call. And he'll definitely go overlooked and
Yes, he will.
Compared to some of those guys in the top end. So, all right, cool. And just to note, a couple you can see it on DraftKings, the cues that pop up. But John Reese Plumlee, Spencer Sanders. We mentioned KJ Jefferson. Some of the injuries to know about and follow along. Some guys are out already, but like Casey Thompson, but we're not going to play him against the Michigan anyway. So
I'm gonna be pretty condensed at quarterback this week, I believe. So I'm not gonna be.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna have a real lot of quarterbacks.
Yeah, honestly, I think you could try to pay up for 2, but there's enough cheap guys that you can go with one of the top end and then go with one of those cheap guys we were talking about for sure in cash or GPP. Yeah. All right, let's head to running back here. I honestly I want to hear your thoughts, because I think you can make a case, and if you check out the playbook from me for this slate, I broke down a few of these guys, but I think you can make a case that you can play 2 or 3 of these top guys, because I really love the situation, the matchups, and how hot they're rolling for Jahmyr Gibbs, Blake Corum, Eric Gray, Mayan Williams if Henderson is out again, Raheem Sanders, and Quinshon Judkins. I think these guys are all in play, and I just named pretty, and even Chase Brown too. Like he's just always there. I'm not as high on him this week compared to other guys, but like all these guys are in play for cash, for GPP. Maybe someone like Gray is more suited for GPPs, and but I think like all these guys are really. I wouldn't blame you for playing 2 or 3 of these guys and choosing between any of them.
Yeah, and there's even some good punt values this week too.
There are some. Yeah, so I wanted to get to that too. There are some glaring values that we will touch on.
So we can. I mean, if you want, you can pay up for 2 quarterbacks if you want to go that cheap RB route. But yeah, you name some names and this may be cool because we may not see 1 or 2 running backs totally taking all the ownership.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Eric Gray's in a great spot. Especially with Javonte Barnes out. I always consider Eric Gray GPP, but I mean.
So I do think Barnes warmed up last week but didn't play. So I don't know if he's back or if he's not going to be back. I don't know.
Something, yeah. I was just concerned he's out, but it's a good point. I guess we gotta
But even that, Marcus Major really didn't get any touches last week, compared to like what Barnes gets.
I just see Gray is always GBP play. I don't
know,
but 7-6 like him. Like you said, Henderson's always in play. If he's good to go, he's going to get 18, 19 touches at least. Uh,
Well, so real quick with that, the Henderson and Williams have been like, I don't know if it's actually an injury or if they're just getting held out because
you brought that up
Ohio
last week.
State's
That's a good point.
Ohio State's rolling and they're playing these easy matchups lately. So they're going back and forth with one guy being active and one guy playing. Last week it was Mayan Williams and Henderson was out, but the game before it was Henderson. So I think that's something you definitely have to check on. And this game is also a noon kickoff, so we will know if one of them is out. But I think if it's last minute, if Williams is out and it's Henderson in, then Henderson becomes a great play and vice versa. But yeah, like right. I mean, right now, if Henderson is out, then it's Williams. So,
Which is a good play. I was all over the third running back, and he didn't even play, right?
Yeah, he did.
Chip Trainium ended up playing, I guess, right? He wasn't even on DK. The kid from Arizona State.
Yeah.
So that was a mess. Jahmyr Gibbs is my guy. It comes down to, I guess.
Okay.
He's the most expensive runner. Is he a lock? No, but he's a WR1. He's a RB1. The guy's so dynamic. 39 receptions. He's rushing 6.8 yards per carry. The guy's just a stud all the way around. Just look at his numbers. Everything jumps out. To me, he's the best guy. And I think this Bama Ole Miss is going to be high scoring. And as long as high scoring, Gibbs is going to be your guy. So I think Gibbs and then Corum. Corum to me is a stud, always in play. Donovan Edwards is probably going to get some of the ownership at 5.6, and his usage is going up last couple weeks. There's a lot of running backs here.
You're
gonna have to make a stand on some of these guys. But if I had the money, it's Gibbs, Corum. If I don't, I would drop down to a guy that really helped me last week. But we got to be careful because I think he got hurt at the end of the game was Tajay Spears. He had a huge game last week. Did real well for me. But I think he's playing. I think he's fine. But 433 rushing yards, 4 TDs over the last 3 games.
Yeah. Yeah, he's been on fire.
Up top there.
Yeah, he's been on fire. I've been playing him a lot the last few weeks.
Mm-hmm. He's great.
I think in this match, it's a little bit tougher match against UCF being better against the run. So maybe that has me, GPP territory, especially if I want to pay up for.
UCF has like 7 TDs last 3 games. I know where you're going. They are they're not a bad run defense, but that is their one downfall is the TDs I see.
Oh, okay.
They are a decent run defense. So you're right about that.
And Spears gets the work. I mean, he's the guy there. So.
Yeah, they're giving up 121 rushing yards on the ground. UCF. So you're right about that. But it seems like they're giving up touchdowns to running backs.
Nah, good point there. Interesting. And this game we were talking about with Pratt, it could end up being a really high scoring game. I think. I mean, both offenses are really good. Tuline's defense is a little bit better than UCF's, but I mean, they haven't faced really an offense like UCF who could put up points. So
this may be the sneak game of the week.
Yeah. Going back to Corum and Edwards situation, I do like both of them. I think it's like, Corum for sure, he gets it done every week. Heisman dark horse and gonna get his work against a bad Nebraska rush defense. But yeah, Edwards is definitely in play. He's getting a lot more usage and workload lately, even in that secondary role. And I think this could be a situation, Michigan's up. They're favored by 30 points here, and they could be up by 20 or 30 at halftime, and they're just kind of giving Edwards the ball in the second half. So,
you can play them both in GPPs.
Yeah, if you just want to stack that backfield for sure.
Yeah.
Why not? Michigan's offense doesn't throw it.
No, exactly. You could probably play both of them. And the Nebraska run defense really is not as bad as people think. But once again, if that offense isn't going to move the ball, Michigan just gonna tire them right out. So
yeah, I think and Edwards is very affordable on both sides. Honestly, or he's priced up a little bit on FanDuel, I'm saying, but on 5,600 on DraftKings is pretty good. But go back to Gibbs too. Definitely a great call. I mean, he's probably gonna be in my lineup too because of how much workload he's getting. And last week, you could argue he should have gotten more, and maybe they don't lose to LSU because he averaged 6.6 yards a game, yards per carry, 8 receptions, which is what we love in PPR for DraftKings. I saw a stat during that game, by the way. He is probably on his pace. He's probably going to lead Alabama, obviously in rushing, but also in receptions this
Yeah,
year, which is their
crazy.
receiving core has not been great, and it's very inconsistent. We don't play them in DFS really, except the GPPs, but Gibbs has been like a really reliable pass catcher out of the backfield
39
for Bryce
receptions.
Young. So yeah, but I think in this game, Ole Miss's defense has been a little bit worse against the run during conference play, so that's something to note. And this game, I think it's if you're just looking at overall storyline, I feel like Alabama's going to want to lean on Gibbs and just pound the run, keep the ball out of Ole Miss's offense's hands, and that is going to be Gibbs probably getting 20 plus carries
Yeah.
and a few receptions, and he'll be in that 30 DFS point range for sure, or more. So yeah, I think he's definitely a good play. Um, yeah, but yeah, Gray, GPP, Judkins gets it done every week, but maybe Bama kind of sells out more to shut him down this week. But
Yeah, I think so.
I think he's in play for GPP. I mean, it's just his track record this season has been remarkable. Um, let's go down to the cheap guys that we were going to mention, because there are a few that are definitely worth looking at. Um, I mean, do you want to start with? Let's just start with. Well, first of all, this guy. I don't know why he's still underpriced. We've talked about him so many times on this podcast, but
Josh Williams.
Josh Williams. Why is he still so cheap?
I think about it. We've been talking about. You brought him up. I think like week one.
And he was mid price.
Pretty much anybody else in the industry even brought him up, and we were talking. And he had a great game, and he's still only 4,100.
Yeah.
At least he's at the 3K when we played him. But even against Bama, he only carried the ball 7 times with 54 yards and a touchdown. Caught a few passes. He gets it done every week. So $4,100, definitely.
Yeah.
That's been a good call you've made all season.
Yeah, I just don't understand why he's this cheap. I mean, he's not. So like last week, he only got 7 carries, but he scored a touchdown. He had 15 DraftKings points. I mean, we'll take that at 4K, and he gets Arkansas's rush defense has been a bit worse during SEC play. So 14 rush touchdowns allowed over 5 SEC games, by the way, for Arkansas. So I mean, that's something to know. And Emory is still involved there, but it's Williams is the lead guy when they're running the ball, and I think they're probably going to run it a little bit more this week than they did against Alabama when they were throwing it. So yeah, he's the guy. Iowa State, Cartevious Norton is 3.9, and it looks like there's a little changing of the guard here for their lead back situation. It's no longer Jarrell Brock, and
Right.
and Norton was the lead guy last week. And there's been some chatter that he's their best back, and he's going forward for like next season. This is the guy that they want, so I think they're starting to give him more work in recent games, and he got 22 touches last week, 2 touchdowns, and 24 DraftKings points. A little bit mispriced here, 3.9. I think he might be, and Oklahoma State's defense overall is terrible, but they're bad against the run too. So yeah, I think really good spot for him. The other cheap guy is Tyler Levine, right, for SMU.
Yeah, that's the other guy.
Yeah.
Popular, I think.
Yeah, he's mispriced for sure, and he'll probably be very popular. Yeah, 25 carries for 146 yards and a touchdown. Had 17 carries and 3 touchdowns the week before. He's been the lead guy. So they've had a ton of injuries in that backfield. TJ McDaniel, Velton Gardner, Trey Siggers have all been dealing with injuries, but Levine has gotten it done the last 2 games. I doubt they go away from him here. Maybe it's a little risky if you know that other people are playing, but they were warming up last week and it was still Levine. So
It seems like this has happened with Levine before over the years. He's definitely in play just because what he said, just because what he's done the last 2 weeks. He's had 17 and 25 carries. He's gonna be popular. I just feel sometimes like we're being trolled here, and he's gonna come up on a dud here. I'm not a Levine guy, but it's gonna be popular. He's popping in projections everywhere.
yeah, I mean, yeah, he's been a beast the last 2 games. So
So I mean, I don't honestly not to tell anybody to play him in cash games because, like you said, what he's done here, game script definitely matches. They
yep,
got a 44-point game total, so it's all there for him. So he's a cash play.
yeah.
I
And,
like Jalen Wright too because if Jabari Smalls is out, I like Jalen Wright at 4,400.
okay, yeah,
I think he's if Small is out and Small gets what's his shoulder? His shoulder every day, every week his shoulder. He's leaving the game early or whatever for his shoulder. So, uh, I like Jalen Wright.
yeah. I
You
like
made a
that
good
call.
call on R.J. Harvey a couple weeks ago too.
Yeah, so
I
he's
think he's a
also in
play.
play here. I think just a tougher matchup against Tulane has me a little
Yeah,
bit scared off. And he's now getting a little bit priced up more, so that's part of it. But yeah,
that was a good call you made.
yeah, he was good that game for sure. And he was so cheap. I think the Penn State guys, Singleton and
Mm-hmm.
Allen, are both decent options against Maryland here. They've been kind of both getting it done. Singleton's the cheaper one if you want to go that route.
Yeah, I'm a
Um,
Singleton guy, but I think Allen may be the better play. 4 TDs last 3 games. He seems like he's getting more of the carries now. But I'm a Singleton guy. And you can play both of them. I think Allen's probably the safer one.
yeah, he had 3 touchdowns, 18 carries last week. But yeah, Singleton, like I mean, coming into the year, it was like, all right, he's the talent, he's the guy,
Mhm.
freshman. But Allen has tons of talent too. So I think they're happy to give both of them a ton of work, and they probably do that against Maryland here. Make sure they don't, avoiding an upset to Maryland would be ideal.
Yeah.
All right, any other running backs?
No, you mentioned Jordan Waters, possible long, definitely like a dart long shot. Let's see, 5,000. So too expensive for any like cashy games. But I could see Waters having a decent game against Virginia Tech.
Okay,
And no, I was going to mention Harvey. I mentioned Harvey. No, I'm ready to move on. Quarterback's loaded. Quarterback is loaded this week, so you can either go cheap or you can go up.
you're running back.
Running back,
Yeah,
running back.
yeah. It's interesting because just mention that is like quarterback is we only said we have a few guys that we like, but you can go with a cheaper quarterback, and if you want to go with the high end running back route, or you can go with 2 expensive quarterbacks and go with some cheaper guys. So receiver though, I mean, like it's you can play both, or you have to choose between. I think in cash, Rasheed Rice and Xavier Hutchinson. I mean, both are just getting it done every single game. Hutchinson for sure has just been like an automatic play basically, but Rice too. I mean, maybe there's some risk against blowout factor against UCF here, and maybe he doesn't do as much, but the SMU receiving core is banged up, so it's like it's Rice and a bunch of guys that are inconsistent. Like Goffney is one guy that we were talking about earlier, and, but it's Rice getting a ton of work, and he's Mordecai's guy. So, but him Hutchinson at the top, Harrison Jr. I think always in play. Like Buka too for GPPs. I think both of them are always good. We're talking about Stroud. I mean GPP play, but it kind of tough to trust in cash. A little bit inconsistent that passing game, and maybe they just lean on the run again here. Jalen Hyatt, I'm talking about earlier. I think GPP for sure. I mean, there's some floor there for cash, but Mizzou's pass defense statistically this year has been better than Georgia. Interesting.
Yeah.
So I think it's might be a little tough to play him in cash games, especially if you want to play Rice or Hutchinson. What about this top end? What are you looking at here?
To me, it's looking like Rice is going to be the popular play.
Yeah, people are just gonna stack Mordecai and Rice, right?
Right, that's what's going to go. I mean, he's getting like 35% of teams' targets. So I love that pivot to Xavier Hutchinson. I mean, the guy's getting like 15 damn targets a game, uh, and I honestly think Hutch is a better cash play.
Yeah,
But I think Rice is going to be the popular play. But they're both great plays.
playing.
Keep
By the way, real quick, playing Hutchinson and Cash has just been. I mean, you
money.
can't really get more safe than that lately. So it's
And I mean, before the game even starts, you're starting off with like 14 points because this guy's gonna get like 14 catches or something. I
Yeah.
mean,
He literally
he's got 10 points. He's getting like 10 catches a game, I guess. Yeah, last 3 games, 3 straight games, 10 catches each game.
his literally his like quote unquote dud games this year have been 16 and 17 DraftKings points, but he still had 8 catches and 10 catches in those games. So yeah,
Right. So I think Rice has got the higher ceiling. It's gonna be a more popular play, but we both like Hutch.
yeah,
Staying with that game, I really have no problem game stacking that SMU game, and I think we can throw in Dylan Goffney. The guy that burned me 2 weeks ago. I played him on main. He got a 0. I don't think he played, but he's getting. I'm seeing him. He's getting like a 10% target share, and then roll it back with Xavier Weaver for USF. I think Weaver gets monster targets. He's got like a 37% target share right now.
yeah.
So I don't mind the new quarterback there. GPP only, but I definitely don't mind having a game stack with Rice, Goffney, Weaver, Mordecai, and then throwing a USF kid, something like that. But GPP only for Weaver.
Yeah, I like that for sure. The Goffney call we mentioned, all the SMU is just banged up in the receiving core, so he's getting the opportunities now. But in mid price is really nice on DraftKings. Yeah, the Xavier call for sure. He's got the floor is there. Maybe 5.9 seems a little bit more than you'd like to pay, but he's been doing it. He's been getting it done. Probably should be priced higher.
Weaver and and I watched a lot of USF. Go to the games, and I didn't realize actually how well he's doing, like DFS wise. Weaver pretty much has like double digit points in every game.
Yeah, I didn't realize it either because they haven't barely been on slates. So
that's true too. Every game, but every game this season, I think his lowest is ECU, like 11 points. So this kid's maybe is a cash play. At the quarterback is questionable, but at 5.9, the problem is you got other guys that maybe that 5.9 area too. You're looking at like when you got Keyshawn Butte at 5.3.
I know, yeah. Butte will be popular on the slate. He's still and on FanDuel he's 6.3. He's still priced really low. I don't understand that. Even if FanDuel's usually better with their pricing, but he's still priced cheap.
Definitely. Like, who else is cheap in that same little area is Tillman is still only 6.5. I like Hyatt too, but Tillman is only 6.5. He's looked good since he came back. Passes against Georgia. So Tillman, Butte, was it Butte, Hyatt, Marvin Harrison. I love Marvin Harrison. I like Harrison better probably than Egbuka. Even Julian Fleming at 5.1, more of a GPP play. They're all my. This is gonna be tough making lineups because I don't see that much value really at receiver. I like the value more at running back, so it's gonna be tough. You gotta help me find a decent value receiver here besides Dylan Goffney, who's already burning.
I don't have a min price tight end for you this week. I'm sorry to say, but I think like Goffney's the cheapest guy.
Maybe
3K.
Curly, maybe RG. What about RG Maryland?
Yeah, the SMU guys are all worth looking at. RJ Maryland.
Boy Schoolmaker. You had a nice call on him a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, he's still cheap. I just don't know how Michigan's gonna throw it in this game. They're gonna blow out Indiana.
No, that's your good point.
But yeah, RJ Maryland is worth looking at, and Curly. I do think there, one cheap guy, Joseph Nada from Clemson. So Bo Collins is out this week, and I just Clemson's passing game is never something we've been targeting this year, but I do think like Nada he's gonna get some more opportunities here, and it's probably their best receiver. But Collins being out,
there too, I can see that. This really may be a slate where we got to stay up on receivers, maybe do drop down in quarterbacks because I don't see too many of these guys. I'm tight for cash at wide receiver. I don't see myself going below like a Keyshawn Butte at 5.3. I really, Sam James. I think same thing. Sam James has become a decent receiver at 5.5. There's rumors that he no, it's not James may be gone. Who's the other receiver for West Virginia?
Ford Wheaton.
Not Ford Wheaton. Prather. I'm hearing Prather may be gone at the quarterback at the especially if the coach is gone.
Oh.
I'm not probably going to go below like a 5'3" Butte. I don't. Parker Washington. He's 6'7". He's GPP.
I do think I think Matt Landers for Arkansas is interesting.
Yeah. Okay.
He's been having some good games lately, but I do think it might depend on if Jefferson is playing for Arkansas, so that's something that you have to monitor.
Gaffney's probably going to be the top.
Jalen Noel from Iowa State is an option, I think, cheap option if you still want to target that Oklahoma State bad pass defense, but you don't want to pay all the way up for Hutchinson. You can go down to Noel. I think he's in play. But yeah, the cheaper guys at running back. One other one I just want to mention: Jimmy Horn Jr. for UCF too. Not as good as Weaver statistically every game, but I think like the GPP upside is there.
He's been playing like forever. Jimmy Horn seems like
the dude is like a touchdown waiting to happen anytime he touches the ball too. So
the game against ECU, yeah.
And we just saw SMU get what was the final score? That's 77-63 against Houston.
Yeah,
so
this game could blow out like that. This game could blow. If USF can stay.
Yeah,
close,
if they
you can see Horn and Weaver both have a touchdown too, like he did against ECU. Horn.
Yeah, I could see it happening. But
that's all I have. I don't have any other value receivers.
Yeah, I think you're right though about going cheaper at running back might be a good call because we definitely want to pay for one of these top receivers and some of the top running backs, but I think having at least one of the cheap running backs is probably a good move.
I think you may have to if you want to get like a Rice. One guy we didn't mention, and I'm seeing him catching a bunch of love, but he's once again like Eric Gray. To me, he's always GPP play is Marvin Mims.
Yeah,
I think at 7-2, he doesn't have a floor, but we know that I think Mims got a great matchup today. He could nuke, but he's not a cash play to me. But Marvin Mims is another guy that could definitely go off and just totally crush the slate.
Yeah, he's a guy that's been he's been priced up like all season, but which makes him just GPP territory for me.
But all great plays, Charlie Jones, but there's no value.
Yeah. That's about it. The last one I wanted to mention. I've been liking him the last few games, but maybe a little bit tougher against Tulane here. But Kobe Hudson has just been getting it done for UCF. Even with Mikey Keene in there at quarterback, he's been one of his favorite targets. So I think like Hudson's talent is definitely showing off there at UCF.
That's not. But he's 6'3", not a bad call.
He's priced up a little bit higher than I would like, but we were talking about that Tulane UCF game maybe being a little bit higher scoring than people think.
No, it's
could be a sneaky play.
5 targets plus a game.
Any other guys, quarterback, running back, receiver you want to touch on before we get out of here?
Yeah, I think we touched them all. I think it's really going to be maybe one decent pay-up quarterback, drop down to if KJ Jefferson doesn't start, maybe run with that the kid there at Arkansas. So I think you go like a cheap quarterback, pay up
Hornsby, yeah,
pay up running back, cheap running back, and then I think you got to go with 3-5+ K receivers. I honestly haven't built yet. It may be a tough build here, but it can be done. I think there's some quarterbacks we can play with, but it's going to be unless you find that diamond in the rough at receiver, which I haven't found yet.
Yeah, I do want to say before we leave, I did before we went live here. That you guys are watching this, but I made a lineup for fun just to see what it would look like. And I won't put it up on here, but just to see what it looked like with 3 of those 3K running backs that we were talking about earlier, and paying up for 2 quarterbacks, paying up for both Rice and Hutchinson is an option. If you want to do that, you can make that work.
I think it may be. You're right, because you get like a Norton, Levine, even a Wright if small doesn't go. Like even this day, for example, and they all have 100.
Josh Williams.
Yeah, so no, that may be a way to go. Definitely, especially in GDP, I'll try to go that way one time. If all those 3 guys go off, you 3 running backs, you're in sitting pretty.
Yeah, right. If you get 20, 25 DraftKings points, and all of a sudden they're matching, Eric Gray, then there you go.
Very well could be. Corum's due for a little bit of a down game. You never know. Edwards make it all the run, or gets hurt. Who knows? I mean, Stuff happens.
That should be the that should be the slogan for this season. Who knows? Because
It's true.
from that Central Michigan quarterback situation to this slate, who knows?
I do have interest in Malik Hornsby. If KJ's out, I do have interest in the Gibbs. I think he's a runner. He's an electric type player, and I would possibly run like a Hornsby, Mordecai, Hornsby Daniels. You know what I mean? Something.
Yeah,
Even a Hornsby Hooker. You know what I mean? Something like that.
yeah, he's got tons of upside there. All right,
That's all I got.
all right. Well, appreciate it, Pete, and for everyone in Florida and around the country dealing with the storm and the hurricane. Hopefully, everyone's staying safe and you have power back like Pete, or doing better. But appreciate it, Pete, taking the time here today.
Good luck, man.
Yeah,
Okay,
good luck to everyone out there at Fantasy Alarm community, and thanks for watching here. Pete Cole, Dan Servodidio. We'll be back for next week's slate. Thanks.